I guess I need to apologize before I say anything else because of the wording that I will be using. But it's a love-hate story. So pretty much the same thing what Mohammed was talking about. It's an attitude, change of mindset that we are talking here. I will be talking about how to collaborate with startups, how banks, financial institutions should be working with them. And the core message is this one. Startups are not prostitutes, not anymore. So there used to be an era when you could take startups, use them for 24 hours, kick them out, pay them poorly, and mistreat them. And then next year you have another hackathon, you have the similar kind of things. No more. You have to treat them like equal partners. There are too few good startups. We have invested into 61 startups at the moment, most of them being fintechs, and that is a rare or scarce resource in this, on this ball, on the globe. When you find the good ones, treat them like equal partners. And at the moment, how it's been done, and now there's a person who has done 24 accelerators with the biggest companies in the world, working with the best banks. Most of the things that financial institutions do with startups, it's vanity stuff. It simply doesn't work. And the reason for it is the research that we've done together with TrustTech. So TrustTech is a 15,000 person event in Europe, and we were asking financial institutions a few questions. How do they get the innovations, and how do they work with startups? And one of the big learnings is that corporate culture is the one that is killing the collaboration with startups. A little bit smaller percentage, 32% are saying that it's the corporate processes, but more than the processes, it's the corporate culture. People are not ready to work with startups because we are the big guys, we already know that. And when there's the startup guys who say that, hey, but we are better than you are, we have this niche, we are so much better than anybody in the world. And then there's a mismatch on everything. Then there's cultural differences that are amazingly big. Message here, change the corporate culture and then you can work effectively with startups. And if you are a startup or fintech, think again how to treat the big guys. You have to treat them with very active manner, yet very respectful, and then there will be effective collaboration. And it has to happen because 45% of innovations, external innovations, comes when working with startups. So corporation and banks creating something together. So not so that startups would have the ready products that they can bring it to you, but the best innovations come when they have been co-created. Co-created on top of something that startup already has. What is a startup? Well, when I talk about startups, sometimes I talk about fintechs. Now I will make you have a chat with the person next to you for 1 minute, but for 1 minute only. Hey, have a chat with the person next to you. What is a job? What is a startup? 1 minute, go. Okay, thank you for the excellent comments that you had with these excellent discussions. The The reason why I started this is not that there would be a right answer. The reason is the angle. So where you're talking that it is a team creating something new, trying to figure out ways to serve customers better, or where you're talking what is it really for a financial institution. So startup is a tool for cultural change. That's what a startup is. Startup is a tool for process improvements. And that is how banks, financial institutions, how they should see startups. For organizational renewal, it says on my chest that we are a renewal accelerator. So we bring in the startups, we live with the startups for 3 months in your premises, in the bank's premises, renewing the corporations for the purpose of being ready to work with startups. And some of our customers or business partners have been just brilliant. Nordea, for example, they have publicly said that they ended up getting deals done with startups in 8 months when they started accelerator programs. 8 months. Many startups die in 8 months. The second time when we did an accelerator program with them, it took 5 weeks. From 8 months to 5 weeks, and what they say is that that's because they have been working with startups. And now they are taking these ideas that they learned working with startups to working with any other organization. What did I say now? That they are not source for innovations. Startups are not a source for innovations. That's what it says on my slide. My message here is that of course they are. You get the innovation from them, but only when you have changed your culture and then you can utilize it. Change the culture and then you can utilize. I will be quoting, like Muhammad was quoting Einstein. I will do that also later on, but I'll start with one of the best ice hockey players ever. How many of you are familiar with this sentence that he was famous on saying?
Where it will go?
Go where the puck is. Thank you for not remembering this, because that's not what he said. That's what he said. Go where the puck is going. Yet this is also old story. There used to be a moment when you could design your objectives and that's where I want to be. The challenge is that I don't know, or none of us knows that what is this? Where do I need to be? Where is the puck actually going is something that none of us knows. There's a brilliant professor in Finland, Liisa Välimäki, and she has a term that also sounds a little bit funny. She talks about active waiting. And startups are tools for active waiting. So getting you ready for the unknown future. Because we don't know where the puck is going, but still we have to get ready for it. And that is it's impossible. How do you get ready for something that you don't know what it is? That's why it makes sense to work with startups. They are closest to one that the future will be. And they are educating the organizations in a way that you are already one step ahead of your competitors, getting ready for the unknown future. Now I have my Einstein also, so I sound smart like Muhammad's excellent presentation before me. Very simple stuff. Just learn the rules of the game and then play better than anybody else. And of course, then everybody needs to ask yourself this question that, do you know the rules of the game? Well, Einstein died in 1955, so this is an old question. Because the real question is, do you know what is the game? Fintechs are changing the game. They don't have the same rules. Like, what is a bank? Because that is something that many of us, actually none of us understands. It will be something totally different in 5 years. Will it be an app market? So will there be an infrastructure that is to be utilized by by fintechs? Or will it be just a source for big data that will be used creating new services, new banking type of services? Or will it be a source for big data that can be used to create new services that are not banking related at all? Whatever the bank is, none of us knows, and still we have to go to that direction. And now there's a guy who has done his master's on business. But customers' opinions don't matter. Now I lost all my credibility. But seriously, people say something, they have opinions, but how do they behave is another question. And startups are brilliant in validating their behavior, because behavior counts. That is the way how you can validate your customers' behavior, meaning that you need to release your products early enough so you can measure the behavior, not the opinions. And startups can deliver products, they can release them too early. And they don't mess up the good brand of a bank. They mess up their own brand, but they don't have it, so it doesn't matter. So use them for releasing the products that you will be using before, so you can measure behavior and validate if it's worth scaling, instead of asking questions that people politely say, yes, your product is good, yes, I will buy it, yes, I like it. Measure behavior. So do not assume that you know it because it has happened before, but measure the behavior. And if you don't measure it, you end up assuming, and if you assume, you make ass out of you and me. Again, one of the great thinkers, Benny Hill. Where did I get my education? Measure the facts and then you don't assume things. Yeah, Mike Tyson. Learnings from startups, get it done, go next to your customer, release the products, and don't plan it too much. Like had to have a 3-year plan. Working for a bank, they often say that, I would like to see the cash flow statement for the next 3 years. Somebody says, I would like to see it for 5 years. Come on. Things will change. You will get punched in the face. Not only the startups nowadays, also the big players. You will be punched in the face, and your plans don't matter. Be ready to react. And in order to be able to react, you need to change the mindset. So it's a love-hate story, pretty much the same what was related to blockchain. The mindset needs to be changed in order to be successful. Get new guys in. Get the startups into your organizations and start coaching them, because teaching is the best way to learn. Quite many organizations, when we bring them to startups, we get the big bosses and we ask them, please come and teach these guys. You are the old experienced guy, please come in and teach. And at the end of those sessions, they are so happy because they have learned so much more. Teaching is the best way to learn. And there's no easy way of doing it. There's no shortcut. The only way to learn how to work with startups is to work with startups, and meaning that do the real business deals with them. That is the way to be successful. Not just to mingle, to have the hackathons, visit SLAS. Please do, it's a brilliant event. But you have to have the business relations, real business. It's not a cool thing, it's real business. That's what startups are. To summarize it, what is it that you get from startups? Banks learn more. It's a learning tool. It's a way to get innovations. It's a branding tool. And branding tool, I mean that it is a way to attract and keep the best talent when you are open, when you're innovative, when you're working with startups. More than happy to have continue conversations with you guys. That was my point. Thank you.